welcome back to Football Barbie, where I talk about anything and everything football. I know I've been a little MIA, and also mine with me. I feel like the allergies are killing me. But let's talk to you about Week 6, my predictions, what's happening in football, and let's go over everybody's wins and losses thus far. See who do you think is the most shocking and who is absolutely dominating the league. Let's get it started. So first up, obviously, Denver and Kansas City did play this past Thursday, and obviously, I did pick Kansas City to win. Kansas City is 5-1. Currently, they have now lost the only one game, which was the first round of game of the season versus the Detroit Lions. Now, I did not think they were going to lose that game. I think I gave Kansas City 3 losses, but they do not look like the Kansas City team that won against my team, the Eagles, which is why I decided to wear red today. So I don't really know what's going on in Kansas City. They only lost by 1 point to the Lions, but obviously I was without Kelsey, and I have said before that if a team loses one of their star players, there is a good chance that they have a chance to lose. So that first game, they were without Chris Jones and Travis Kelsey. I'm sure a lot of Chiefs fans will say they would have never lost a game had both of those players been playing. Then the Kansas City didn't win over the Jags for week 2. That was not a surprise. Won over the Bears week 3. Not a surprise. Won by 3 points, though, over the Jets. A lot of people were speculating about that game that the NFL is rigged because a lot of people had money on the line and for sure thought that Kansas City was going to win, but Patrick Mahomes kind of slid at the end and only had the score be by 3 points. So who knows if that really is the case. I just like people with talent, man. Whether the NFL is technically rigged or not, I enjoy people who do have talent. Then they did win over the Vikings. I wasn't surprised there, and beat the Broncos, so not a surprise there as well. So having Kansas City be at 5-1. As for Denver, though, they're the complete opposite right now. They are 1-5. So not only did they lose the first week to the Raiders, but only by 1 point. Then they lost to the Commanders. Then they lost in the worst possible loss, I bet you, of the entire season, maybe besides a shutout of Dallas to the Giants. Sorry, James, which was 70-20 against Miami. Finally, they won with a field goal against the Bears. So that was their only win so far. And then they lost to the Jets and then now Kansas City for the week. So obviously, since they're the only 2 teams that have played so far, they are 1-5. So let's talk about Baltimore versus Tennessee for the week. So I picked Baltimore to win. I did pick Kansas City to win as well. So I picked Baltimore to win. I do think they are a slightly better team. You know, a lot of these teams already have a good amount of injuries, and it's kind of horrible to see that. Baltimore did beat the Texans the first week. They won over the Bengals the second week. They lost to the Colts, which I did not pick that because I thought that the Bengals were going to be really great this year. And honestly, them and the Panthers are my worst teams that I've picked so far to do well. And then they lost to the Colts by a field goal extent, destroyed the Browns, and then they lost to the Steelers. So Baltimore's 2-3 so far, like I said. Then you had the Titans. They lost to the Saints, won over the Chargers, okay? So lost to the Saints. I don't think I thought they were going to do that. I mean, I'm really curious to see how they are as a team. You know, they did pick up DeAndre Hopkins. I thought he was going to do really well. I feel like he's barely been able to get his play time. Like, I know he's a lot of incentives in contract, and I'm sure that truly sucks. They did win over the Chargers. They lost to the Browns 27-3. I don't know what it is this season so far about a lot of teams only having 1 field goal for the entire game. Because the Titans lost to the Browns 27-3, but then they won over the Bengals 27-3. So odd. Lost to the Colts then. So Titans are 2-3. I would also like to state that I am doing a little giveaway for any of my followers for this video. I just need you to comment and like, and if my video gets 50 likes, I will give away either this Eagles pendant, or I do have 2 of these Tampa Bay game bags. I mean, I will send it to you for free. You just can provide me your shipping address. So I do have 2 of these, and I also do have a Steelers like little yellow towel. So let me know if you would want any of those. Please comment, like, and subscribe. It greatly helps my algorithm. So let's talk about the third game, Washington versus Atlanta. I'm picking Atlanta. I think the Commanders are actually doing much better this year than I currently thought. The Washington Commanders did win the first game over Arizona. Okay, then they won. There are only 2 wins in the first 2. Then they won by 2 over the Broncos. They then lost to the Bills 37-2, that magical 3. Then they lost to the Eagles by a field goal. And then they lost to Chicago 40-20. So I didn't think they were going to lose that bad to Chicago. And of course, that was Chicago's first win to get out of a 14-loss streak. That sucks. The loss to the Lions, I completely thought. Lost to the Jags, I figured that was up in that. Lost to the Eagles. I thought we were going to lose, but not as close. Or win, but not as close. Then for Atlanta, you have 3-2. So like I said, I picked Atlanta. They won over the Panthers. Then they won by 1 point over the Packers. They lost to the Lions. They lost to the Jags and won by 2 over the Texans. So I thought Atlanta was going to be pretty decent this year. Obviously, they have Bijan Robinson, and we know that he's already a star player for them. So let's keep it going. Then you got Minnesota versus Chicago. Minnesota, guys, 1-4, okay? Both teams, Minnesota and Chicago, are 1-4. You know, it's better than obviously being completely winless, but still, no bueno. So Minnesota lost to the Bucks, which I was actually surprised over. Actually, I might have taken that one. Then they lost to the Eagles. I was at the home opener game for the Eagles. Lost to the Chargers. Won over the Panthers. But the Panthers haven't been doing that well this year. So their only win was a team who has no wins currently. Does anyone hear my cat? Azul! I have cats who like to cry and talk. Azul! And then they lost to the Chiefs. Sorry. As for Chicago, their first win was over the Commanders, and that was just last week. Because they lost to the Packers, the Bucks, the Chiefs, and the Broncos. Okay, none of those are really surprising to me, but for sure I thought they were going to be a little bit better. They do obviously have Azul, DJ Moore, and, you know, they just did really well. I thought they did pretty good, though, within their draft, and I just kind of don't know, like, what happened to them. Next up, you have the Seattle versus the Bengals. So the Bengals are seriously my team that I'm really surprised over. They did extremely well in many of the past seasons. Now, obviously, Joe Burrow is hurt, and that does hurt them tremendously. But still, Seattle, 3-1. I'm picking Seattle for this since the Bengals have been letting me down all damn season. They did have a bye last week, so that's why they're on 3-1. They lost to the Rams. Then they won over the Lions. They won over the Panthers, and they won over the Giants. So, congrats to Seattle. However, Panthers, Giants, you know, I'm curious to see what happens as the season goes on. Is Seattle actually have a chance? Because truly, the best team that you beat is the best team in, you know, one of the better teams so far in the league, which is the Lions. But you lost the Rams. So, I'm just really curious to see what's going to happen. As for the Bengals, they lost to the Browns 24-3. Okay, that's horrible. There's that 3 number again. They lost to the Ravens. They won by a field goal over the Rams, and they lost to the Titans 27-3. Lost to the Browns 24-3. Lost to the Titans 27-3. It means they're literally only getting 1 field goal the entire game. That's horrible. Okay, so let's go Seattle. Bengals are 2-3. Psh. Then you have the 49ers versus the Browns. So the 49ers are 5-0. The Eagles and the 49ers are the only 2 teams still left remaining going into the week 5-0. So they won over the Steelers. They won over the Rams. The Rams. They won over the Giants, the Cardinals, and they won over Cowboys. Kittle got fined maybe $11,000 for his shirt when he said fuck Dallas. And I thought that had to be one of the funniest things I have possibly seen. So as for the Browns, okay, the Browns, the first game, like I said, won over the Bengals 24-3. Then they lost to the Steelers. But they did also lose Nick Chubb, which was one of their for sure star players. They won over the Titans 27-3. There's telling you that 3 number. See? And then they lost 28-3 over the Browns. So they are 2-2. They had a bye last week as well. They're doing better than I thought. I didn't think the Browns were going to be doing even this good. So I'm not really sure kind of what's going on with that. You then have New Orleans versus Houston. So like I said, I picked the 49ers, clearly. Then you have New Orleans versus Houston. I'm picking Houston. You know, CJ Stroud's actually doing pretty well. I don't really think that I picked the Saints to win their division, but honestly, at this point, I'm not really sure if that's going to stay that way. I don't think they're doing that well. Derek Carr apparently hurt his shoulder. Like, I just don't know what's going on with them. So the Saints are 3-2. They won over the Titans the first week. Then they won over the Panthers. So, you know, lost to the Packers. They lost to the Bucks. The Bucks are doing way, way, way better than I thought they would be. And then they shut out the Patriots 34-0. So I'm not really sure what's going on with the Patriots. But they shut out the Patriots 34-0. Like, well, you know Bill Belichick is just screaming in that locker room. Like the fact that he lost 34-0. Oh boy. You know, over the Saints, who I don't even think they look that great. And you got Houston 2-3, like I said, who I'm taking. They lost to the Ravens. Hi. Hello. Thank you. Lost to the Colts. They won over the Jags, won over the Steelers, and lost to the Falcons. So, for their rookie quarterback, at least they're doing way better than the Panthers are. Okay, number 8. Colts versus Jags. I'm taking the Jags. You know, Anthony Richardson, though, is doing pretty well for the Colts. Obviously, he did miss a game or so. But the Colts are 3-2, and they lost to the Jags, won over the Texans, won over the Rams. Won over the Ravens, lost to the Rams, and won over the Titans. As for the Jags, they're 3-2 as well. I think they just really have something about being in London. They have, for some reason, a way better type of situation when they are in London. So they won over the Colts, lost to the Chiefs, lost to the Texans, and then in London, they won over the Falcons, and they won over the Bills. Yeah, that London life for them, because I did not expect them to win over the Bills. So I'm taking the Jags here versus the Colts. Let's see if they can continue that winning streak for them to have 2 wins in a row. It's pretty good. But it's a Thursday night game, so next week they play Thursday. Then you have Carolina versus Miami. So Carolina has lost to Atlanta, lost to New Orleans, lost to Seattle, lost to Minnesota, and lost to the Lions. So they're the only team left that has yet to win a game. Our friend Robbie, who lives here, thinks that it has to do with management and that they gave up everything to have Bryce Young, who is just not ready to play. Robbie, if you're paying attention, comment what you think. Then you got Miami. My team, Miami, man. I did say they would win one over the Bills and lose one to the Bills. So they only loss so far has been to the Bills, which was 48-20. They won over the Chargers. They won over the Patriots. They had that game-blowing win over the Broncos, 70-20, that nobody could believe that was still kept going. And like I said, they lost the Bills, and then they won over the Giants. So Miami, for sure, like I said, is going to be my AFC East winner. Let's keep it going. I'm so curious to see if that's going to happen. Okay. Next up, you got Detroit versus Tampa Bay. Detroit is 4-1. Now, I think they do have a little bit of a harder end of the season, so I'm not sure like where they're going to end, but I did say Detroit is winning their league as our division as well. They won over the Chiefs, which was hella surprising. They lost to Seattle. They won over the Falcons, won over Green Bay, and won over the Panthers. So like I said, so far, I mean, they won against one of the hardest teams to win against in the entire league. So it just kind of is really surprising to me. Then you have, turn my little sign on. The Bucks. The Bucks to me are a little bit surprising too. 3-1. They had a bye last week. They won over the Vikings, the Bears. Their only loss was to me at the Eagles, which I was there, and I just put up a video up if you haven't watched. And then they won over the Saints. So I'm taking Detroit, though. I still feel like Detroit's going to be holding it out. I do think it's going to be a tough game. I think the Bucks are for sure going to try to give Detroit a run for their money. I'm not really sure what's going on with Mike Evans. Is he still hurt or not? Okay, then you have New England versus Las Vegas Raiders. New England, one of my most surprising teams right now. I think I gave them like 7, maybe 8 wins for the season, but seriously, 1-4 so far. I'm telling you, they lost to us, the Eagles, the first week, lost to Miami, won over the Jets, lost to Dallas, and shut out by the Saints. Whoo! I'm telling you, surprising there. They almost came back though and tried to win against Miami with that little trick play. As for Las Vegas Raiders, they are 2-3. They won the first week of the Broncos. They lost to the Bills, not really surprising. Lost to the Steelers. That was a tough game. They were going back and forth for a bit. They lost to the Chargers, and then they just won over the Packers. I didn't think the Packers were going to be that great this year, though. So, Jordan Love's first year, I didn't think the Packers were going to be honestly that great. Then you got, like I said, I'm taking New England. I feel like Bill Belichick is going to for sure try to knock his team, even though it is at the Raiders. If the Belichick loses at the Raiders, I think this is going to be one of the worst seasons for the Patriots yet to date. Unless they just come back at the end and just keep winning games straight, it's not going to be a good season for the Patriots. Then you have Arizona versus the Rams, okay? So Arizona is 1-4. Now, they did almost win a couple of their games, though, but they for sure just can't seem to keep it going. They do have Josh Dobbs, I think, is still playing. He might not be playing this week. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't completely check out everything yet. So Arizona lost to the Commanders. They lost to the Giants. They were doing so well, and the Giants just came back and won that game. They won over Dallas. That was the most surprising game. So we were joking in the house that since James is a Giants fan here, that Dallas beat the Giants, okay? Shut them out. The Giants beat Arizona the second week, but then the Cardinals beat Dallas the third week. So does that truly actually mean that the Giants are better than the Cowboys? Because maybe the first game was a fluke, but Dak apparently threw a lot of interceptions last week, so, I'm pretty sure he got pulled. Then the Arizona lost to the 49ers, and then they lost to the Bengals. So their only win was over Dallas. That's wild. They won against what seemed to be at least a good team, but as the season goes on, we'll really find out who's who. Then the Rams are 2-3. They won over Seattle, lost to the 49ers, lost to the Bengals, they won over the Colts, and they lost to the Eagles last week, which I was there, and I still have to put that video out as well. Then you have Philly versus Jets. I'm for sure taking my Philly. Now, we are without Darius Slay, and we are without Jalen Carter, who's been doing so great for us. Yes, that rookie. Okay. So Philly is 5-0. We won over the Patriots, the Vikings, Tampa. The Commanders game to me was way closer than I wanted to be. And then we just won over the Rams. So I'm happy that so far I'm probably seeing 4 different Eagles games this year, and 3 of them that I've been to, we all won all 3. Okay, then for the Jets, 2-3. They surprisingly beat the Bills with Aaron Rodgers getting hurt in that first game and Zach Wilson. They lost to Dallas, lost to the Patriots, lost to the Chiefs, but that game was really close. And then they won over, was getting closer than I thought. And then they won over the Broncos. So the Broncos haven't been that great, so who knows? I'm for sure, like I said, taking Philly. Next up, you got the Giants versus Buffalo. The Giants are a little surprising to me this year. I'm not really sure. Their offensive line is really having kind of difficulty here. They lost to Dallas. They won over Arizona. So their only game was their comeback win in Arizona. Lost to the 49ers, lost to the Seahawks, lost to Miami. Now, granted, the Giants have had a very difficult schedule so far. Maybe minus Arizona, which was their win. So maybe that'll be their... Well, then again, like I said, they're playing Buffalo. So, yeah, the games that the people they played have been teams that are actually pretty good. So let's see what happens with the Giants. I think for sure they might lose this game, and then maybe they can come back and start winning some games. As for the Bills, they lost to the Jets. They won over the Raiders. They won over the Commanders, and they won over Miami. But then they lost to the Jags in London. So they're 3-2 right now. So Miami's still technically beating them. But I think that the Miami really still going to stay one ahead. So like I said, I'm taking Buffalo, though, because I'm sorry, Giants. James, you're not doing so well right now. Then you have the Dallas versus the Chargers for the last game, which is your Monday night game. And you have Dallas is 3-2, who, like I said, shut out the Giants 40-0, won over the Jets, lost to Arizona, won over the Patriots, and lost to the 49ers. I thought for sure they'd lose the 49ers. I thought they for sure. The loss to the Arizona to me was the surprising one. So, yeah, I thought they should be 4-1. But hey, good for Arizona to get that one win. Then the Chargers 2-2. They had a bye last week. They lost to Miami. I did not think they were going to lose to the Titans. They won over the Vikings, I thought for sure, and they won over the Raiders, I thought for sure. So I'm taking the Chargers. I think the Chargers really are a good team. I'm not sure what is already going on with Dallas. I know they have lost some players as well. A lot of people have lost a lot of players. So let's see what happens. Let me know what your predictions are. Do you disagree? Agree? I love having fun little banter in the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Talk to you guys soon. Love ya. Bye-bye.